Imagine having all eyes on you and still feeling overlooked. That's what Linsanity felt like for me. Somehow, even in the midst of massive adoration and acceptance, I felt like an outsider, especially as an Asian American guy. It was a crazy time in my pro basketball career. I had become the starting point guard for the New York Knicks. I helped lead my team on a 7-game winning streak that saved our season. I dropped 38 on the Lakers at the Garden with thousands of fans screaming my name. This is what I had fought for all these years, to go from the fringes of the league to having my name mentioned in the same breath as the greats of the sport. And still, even with all the notoriety and stardom, the whole thing with Linsanity is complex. My entire life, I tried to run from being Asian American. I found that when I was on the basketball court and the ball was tipped off, race didn't matter. It was my safe space to just be myself. By the time Linsanity came around and I got worldwide recognition, the only thing people really wanted to talk about was my ethnicity. My race had become the headline, not my accomplishments. And so often it was talked about in very demeaning and condescending and just racist ways. It didn't matter that I had played at Harvard only to become the school's most decorated ball player. It didn't matter that I went undrafted into the NBA only to then become the face of one of the most frenzied moments in sports history. It was like, I just don't want everyone to talk about me being Asian. I just want you to appreciate what I'm doing on the court. I'm an artist and you're missing out on the art. I had to grow up in that sense. With the entire world watching, I went from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the valley. And only recently was I willing to go back in time. When I did, I had come to terms with not using that time and the influence I was given in the way that I wish I had. I wish I talked so much more about me being Asian American, and I wish I had talked about it in better ways versus trying to run from it. I didn't need to be reduced to the Asian American guy playing elite level basketball. I could have used that platform in a way that moved the spotlight from me to God and the issues of race. Not to shove it in people's faces, but instead as an opportunity to enlighten people to the struggles we all face and the many ways God opens the door for those conversations to happen. Whether it's how people judge me or how I felt about missed opportunities, I've recognized the dangers of how we put people in a box. We think a certain role, profession, country, or culture is defined by a limited viewpoint. Racial discrimination has torn countries and people apart all around the world. The deeply rooted effects of personal and societal racism also creates wide gaps in educational and financial opportunities. In Revelation 7, we read of a great multitude that no one could number from every nation, from all tribes and people and languages, standing before the throne and before the Lamb. Yet, when we examine our own communities, they lack diversity of thought, perspective, and background. We surround ourselves with people who look and think just like us, and the data is clear. Today, less than 5% of all investment capital, and likely all charitable capital, is deployed in organizations and companies led by women and people of color. I believe in the power of entrepreneurs. They are on the front lines of shaping neighborhoods, impacting communities, and building nations. I want to give them every opportunity to succeed because as an athlete, we're entrepreneurially minded too. Some of us go on to start and scale brands, companies, and platforms. That's why I invest in entrepreneurs who are fighting for the glory of God and the flourishing of humanity, under His power and for His glory. They are pushing against the notion that we are comfortably cruising along in this world with only ourselves to worry about. And together we can position their enterprise to stand in the gaps of brokenness. I can make investments for both financial return and compounding impact. I can also deploy philanthropic capital to accelerate ministries that focus on the ills humanity suffers. This is what it looks like to solve the world's greatest problems. It takes entrepreneurs and investors partnering together for good, because God has entrusted us with much, and in return, much is what is asked of us. It's who we are as His people. We can't sit on the sidelines and wish things would change. We need to get in the game, and it's what the world needs right now.